Welcome to Fantasy Bout Hour, the channel dedicated to bringing you fantasy matchups on a regular basis. If there's a fight you want me to cover, please leave it in the comment section, and I promise to honor your request. Hello once again, my fellow boxing fans. I am back at you with another prediction video. I would just ask before I get into the content that you would share, like, hit the bell notification, and if you're watching, you might as well subscribe. You're just pressing a button. So I would just ask that you would just help me out and support by doing so. So the fight in this video is requested by Peter Garcia, and I thank you for your request and for participating in the channel. And the fight that he wanted me to cover is Sugar Shane Mosley versus Gervonta Tank Davis. And it seems like Tank Davis is on a lot of people's minds, and for good reason. So this fight would take place at 135. And it's a very interesting fight with a lot of variables and a lot of things to deal with. And let me just start off by talking about Sugar Shane Mosley. At 135, or at that point in his career, he was considered a perfect fighter. It was hard to spot any weaknesses in him. His combinations, flashy combinations, his speed, counterpunching, accuracy, and power definitely set him apart. He was truly amazing when he was trained by his father, Jack Mosley. And to tell you the truth, I wish he never would have left his father. Just my personal opinion. But nevertheless, he was a force to be reckoned with. And when he was on top, he was on top. And at that time, I was a huge fan of Sugar Shane Mosley. And once he had you hurt, he was a great finisher. Now, as for Gervonta Tank Davis, I must admit that I underrated him for the longest time, and that I was selling him short. And what I had to realize is he's more than just a dynamic power puncher. I mean, the guy can actually box, and the guy can actually fight. And just like fighters like Floyd Money Mayweather, Andre Ward, and Terrence Crawford, he's great at making adjustments. And once he has your timing down, the fight is pretty much over. At least that's been the case up until this point. And Gervonta Davis is so dangerous because he's so accurate. So I really don't know what the key is to beating Gervonta Davis. And he's in the same category as Wilder. And we all know Wilder's famous statement when he said that his opponent has to be perfect for the whole fight. He just only has to be perfect for a few seconds. Just kind of paraphrasing. But you get the point. So now we have to get into some of the stylistic factors, the advantages and disadvantages of both fighters. Now, I won't get into height, size, reach, and all that stuff because I truly don't think that will be a factor in this particular fight. But of course, feel free to add those things in your comments. Now, as I mentioned earlier, when Sugar Shane Mosley was at 135, and during that period, it was hard, well, at least for me, to spot any weaknesses in him. But with that being said, later in his career, we saw how temperamental he can be when the fight isn't going his way. And he could become easily frustrated and discouraged. And that would definitely be something I'd have to consider in this fight. I always felt that the jab was Shane's kryptonite, but Shane also had trouble with fighters who could time him. So we see that Shane has two major disadvantages because Gervonta Tank Davis is good at both of those things, jabbing and his timing. Now, don't get me wrong. Sugar Shane Mosley has good timing himself, and he's a good counterpuncher. And my favorite punch from him is that overhand right. And Sugar Shane Mosley was great at toe-to-toe battles because in the exchanges, he seemed to always have the speed advantage. Now, if this fight went to the cards, then Sugar Shane Mosley would win easily because of his work rate, and he's usually a busy fighter. But when he fights someone who's using timing, then his punch output could drop, and then he falls into the trap of looking for one big shot. And that's the trap he fell into against Floyd Money Mayweather. Now, although the overhand right is my favorite punch from Shane, another great punch that he throws is that quick counter left hook. And it is short and quick, so that could definitely be a factor. But Gervonta Tank Davis is just great at finding those openings. And if Sugar Shane Mosley throws a punch and leaves it out there for the least amount of time, then Tank will definitely strike. And as I said earlier, he's accurate. Now, as far as how the actual fight would play out, I see Mosley having success early on. But once Tank starts getting his timing down, Mosley is going to have some trouble and will automatically go into safety mode. I think Shane will taste Davis's power and become leery. Now, Shane will definitely get some combinations off and hurt Davis a few times. But I can't say enough that once Davis figures Shane out, it turns into a very difficult fight for Shane. Now, I don't think that Davis would stop Shane because Shane was a great fighter and he knew how to survive when the fight wasn't going his way. But I do feel that he will shut Shane down, and Shane is not going to let his hands go a lot because he's not going to risk getting caught. And at that point, Davis can just time him, pot shot him, and just cruise to a decision. Now, I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but I just have to call the fights how I see them. And I have Tank winning a decision over Sugar Shane Mosley. Those are my thoughts. Please let me know what you think. I'll see you soon.